There are a lot of small brands out there that aim to make very high quality watches. Today we're taking a look at probably one of the best small manufacturers out there that make a very high quality product. Of course, I am talking about Monta, not really a micro brand, more of an independent brand, and they are really one of the only brands that offer almost Rolex quality for the price of basically a micro brand. So let's flip the camera and take a look at their GMT, the Skyquest, in their newest iteration, the Opalin dial. When I'm choosing a dial color, I usually go for the darker dial variants of watches for one reason or another. That's just what I'm sort of attracted to. But I have to say, this Opalin dial is beautiful. It's sort of a silver white, but under certain lights and sort of angles, you get a little bit of gray in it as well. It's beautiful. But what they have done here is they've paired it with gold. So the indices are in a gold tone, the hands are in a gold tone, and then of course all the markings on the bezel in a gold tone, paired with that red GMT hand, and then you have red and blue in the bezel. So it really pops on the wrist. This is a very noticeable watch on the wrist. And of course it's a Monta, so it's really nicely made. It's powered by a Sellita SW330. It's a very high grade version of that movement. And I have to say, I am very, very impressed overall with this brand. And you get a bi-directional bezel, 300 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal with tons of AR coating. As you can see as I move it around in my studio lights, it just looks great. You get a screwed-in crown, screwed-in case back. You get to see the movement, of course. And then you have a date at the 6 o'clock. It replaces the 6 o'clock index completely, and there is a gold surround around that as well. I really love the design of this watch. The bi-directional bezel feels great. There are a lot of bi-directional bezels out there that do not feel this good, and it's very grippy. Even though it's a polished bezel, and I always complain about that by dry hands, this has a polished bezel, very easy to use because it's very raised off of the case. And it's not really a thick watch considering, and that's because you're getting sort of a high grade Sellita movement inside. The bracelet is where it's at with Monta, and I want you to listen to a very important sound that really lets you know that Monta have some really tight tolerances, not only for their bracelets, but for their clasps. And I'm always a big stickler about clasps. Listen to this. So getting this open is a flip open, just like that. It has the Monta logo. Feels really great. Flip this open, and of course it's completely milled. When you close this, listen to this. That is really, really satisfying. It sounds fantastic. I know it's something weird to get obsessed over, but I really love the sound of this clasp, and it feels solid, looks great, and of course it has micro adjust. I'll show you that in just a second, but look at the chamfered edge along the edge of the clasp. And of course you get polishing on the sides of the bracelet, screwed links, and it's primarily brushed on the top, but the bracelet itself is just gorgeous. They do a great job with all of their bracelets. Let's look at the micro adjust as well. There are a lot of brands out there that do micro adjust, and not a lot of them get them right. And this brand obviously does. It's very easy to use, very smooth. That is what you want to hear. Just clicks. There's no grinding. It's really easy to use on the fly. Add a couple of millimeters there. It's actually quite a few, and then tighten it up if you want to. Very, very easy, and works really well. You can see on the sides of the case it is polished, and it's sort of slab-sided, I guess you would say, on one side, but the other side you have these sort of crown guards. Gives you a little bit more curvature on the crown side. The crown is signed, it is polished, and you have polishing on the sides. Brushing on the top, you do have a chamfered edge again that is really thick, sort of mimicking what you get on the bracelet. And the case back, as I mentioned before, screwed in, and you can see the Sellita SW300, which is very nicely decorated, has the Monta logo in gold. I will do a close-up video of this movement so you can see what I'm talking about. Just really nice overall package from Monta. Monta make very high quality watches. Just to give you an idea, this is a GMT, but it gets 300 meters of water resistance. So obviously they care that the watch is still very functional for those who are wearing it. You know, it's not like 100 meters of water resistance or something like that, which isn't bad, but you're getting 300 meters of water resistance. Also, I want to mention you do get a slightly raised sapphire crystal on here. You can see it when I turn it on the side. It has a little bit of a beveled edge, which catches the light in certain angles as well, which looks fantastic. Very quickly, let me do some measurements. You do get female end links on here. I think it's around a 40 millimeter watch, so it's 40.5 millimeters. And measuring at the lugs themselves, it's around 47 millimeters at the lugs, so 47.3, but it's actually smaller at the bracelet, 45.5, because those female end links are actually turned down perfectly and give you a little bit of extra space if you have a small wrist. This watch would work actually pretty well. Crown on here is around, let me grab that, 5.9 millimeters, and then the thickness is, including the sapphire crystal on both sides, 11.8 millimeters with a display case back and 300 meters of water resistance. Obviously that is hard to do, so that is a very, very good thickness for a watch with 300 meters of water resistance and a display case back, so I do want to mention that. Very quickly, I'm going to throw this on my wrist. We'll talk about price, and then we will do a lume shot. I have no idea if the bezel is lume. I suspect it's not because it's in gold, but everything else should be liberally applied with lume, as most Montas are. This is only the second Monta I've ever had on my channel, and I am very impressed with this. Obviously, this is not my watch. They don't give me anything, and you know, it's just impressive overall. I think they make a very, very good product. Very quickly, let me show you the watch that I have on my wrist. Today, I have on my Citizen, and this is my Citizen ProMaster Dive in Super Titanium. You know, this is a major brand. This is a watch that costs around $1,000. Obviously, the bracelet on here nowhere near as nice as the Monta. So definitely something to keep in mind. If you want something that has an incredible bracelet like this Monta, there aren't many watches in this price range that have bracelets like this. So just listen to this again. It's incredible. It really is incredible. It sounds fantastic, feels great. And it is buttery smooth. And there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. That's 40.5 millimeters, so just about a 40 millimeter watch. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. It's 11.8 millimeters thick. Beautiful combination of colors. That white silver dial with that blue and gold and red. Looks really good. I really, really like it. So the price on here is, I think, around $2,435. Kind of a weird price, but I think it's justified. I'm saying it's weird because it's $35. I don't really see many watches with a $35 ending on it, but that's kind of cool. I think this is a really good watch for that price. You're not getting a micro brand here. You're getting something that's more of an independent brand. You're getting a high-end movement inside with the Sellita SW330, but it's not just that. The bracelet alone, I think any watch with this bracelet on it would be worth that money, because you're gonna really enjoy this bracelet, and the case and everything is finished beautifully. And of course the dial, it's of course Swiss made as well. I don't know if I mentioned that, but of course that does add to the price. So there you go. Anyway, very quickly, let's do a lume shot and then wrap up the video. There you go. There's excellent lume to the dial. Indices, which have gold surrounds, those are very liberally applied with lume. Obviously, you can see they're glowing very brightly. The hands, you have a sword hand for the hour hand, and for the minute hand, you have a fence post hand. Those are filled with lume. The second hand also has a little bit of lume on that little tip. And then the arrow, the red arrow for the GMT, that is also filled with bloom. This is a Sellita SW330, so it is an office GMT. For those of you who don't know the difference between an office and a traveler GMT, essentially it is the GMT hand that moves when you are changing the GMT or the date position. You move it forward, I believe it is the GMT hand, and backward it's actually the date that moves. Other than that, a traveler GMT, it would be the local hour hand that skips when you're changing the GMT time. That's the only difference. And some people really love a traveler's GMT, but some people really like an office GMT, and that's what this is basically called, an office GMT. Great functionality and a very functional watch. And of course, like I said, a really nicely made watch. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Monta? I really do think they make some really high quality, and I don't want to use the word micro brand, they're more of an independent brand watch. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you in the next video.